What's up? This is Release Rotation. I'm your host, John W. Snyder. What happened in sports this week? What should we talk about? Let's start with, since it's Friday, college football tomorrow. There are only two games that have ranked opponents playing each other. USC is at Oregon, and Missouri is at Oklahoma. First one, let's talk about USC at Oregon. Oregon is favored by 10.5, which I think Oregon is really good, but I also know that USC's offense is really good. And for Oregon to be favored by 10.5, like, what does Vegas know that we don't know? I think that USC covers, and they might just win outright. I don't know, though. No, I take that back. USC is not going to win the game, but I do think they could cover. I think that them covering 10.5 is very doable with that high-powered offense. So game day is there this week because that's the best ranked game, I guess, in the country. And then you've got Missouri going into OU. OU is looking pretty good. Their offense is not the greatest, but when you have a defense that OU has, your offense doesn't have to be the greatest. So that, I think OU wins that. I think they're favored by 6 or 6.5 in Norman. OU's going to win that game, but it's going to be interesting to see how the SEC ends up, and just the college football playoffs in general. Like, who are the top 12 teams going to be? Where are they going to be seated? How does Notre Dame affect all of this because of who they play that's in the top 12? So, it's just going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I did see a stat that in the last, I think, 10 years or however many years, that after the third week that college football rankings have been released, the winner of the college football championship has been in the top 4. So, interesting stat. So if that is the case, and that a team from the top 4 after 3 weeks wins the national title, that leaves you with Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia. So 2 Big Tens and 2 SECs. So just going off of history, one of those 4 teams is going to win the national championship. Obviously, we have no idea. It's not guaranteed, but that is an interesting stat. So we will see what happens as the season goes on. Let's talk some media rights real quick. Major League Baseball, I know the season ended not too long ago, but Major League Baseball, they made a 3-year rights deal with ESPN, NBC, and Netflix. So that's kind of interesting. Sunday Night Baseball has been on ESPN since 1990, and that will be moving to NBC. And for the first time in 25 years, NBC will have Major League Baseball in primetime. So some big moves there. But the other piece of that is Netflix will now have some things. They'll have some media rights with showing some Major League Baseball documentaries, but also Home Run Derby, and then like a couple of classics, like baseball classics. So games of this season, the Field of Dreams game, and a game in Japan, I believe. So it's only a 3-year deal. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if viewership is up or down from last season. I am not a big baseball watcher. I watch the playoffs, and that is about it. I don't watch regular season because there's too many games, and it's on during basketball season. And so I would much rather watch NBA or college basketball. Well, really just the end of college basketball, but NBA mainly is on, until mid-June. And then, which is perfect because then baseball playoffs start like a month later or so, somewhere around there, maybe 2 months later. But so that's cool. Those are some big things happening in Major League Baseball. How about this? Here's a question. Is the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty over? They're definitely not going to win their division this year. I know there's some injuries, but has their reign, is it coming to an end? Will the Kansas City Chiefs even make it to a Super Bowl this year or a conference finals? The AFC, will they be in the AFC AFC championship game this year? I don't know. We will see what happens. We will see what happens with the Chiefs. So something to watch there. Let's talk NBA because I got just destroyed on Twitter the other day. LeBron James is back, if you didn't know. He had a fine game. They won. They beat the Jazz, who, when they played, the Jazz were 5-8. And the Lakers are good. They've only lost 4 games. They've only lost 4 games this year. And LeBron James in that game was a +1 when the rest of the starters were like +10, +12 when they were on the court and that kind of thing. And I said, someone had commented and said, LeBron's back. And I said, yeah, that's great. I want to see him and how they do against a contender, because they were playing the Jazz. The Jazz are not a contender. The Jazz might not even make the playoffs at this rate. And I just got destroyed for that. And I'm like, well, it's just a fact. Like, I want to see the Lakers. I want to see LeBron with this team, with a slimmed down Luka. I want to see how they do against a contender in the West. How are they going to do against Oklahoma City, Houston, Denver, even the Warriors for that matter? I want to see what happens when they play one of those teams when they're fully healthy. And then we'll have a little bit better of a gauge, is all I was trying to say. And I just got destroyed by Lakers fans, which is fine. I get it. And that's who you are. You love the Lakers and you love LeBron and you're defending your team. Totally. I get that. But I do want to see them play somebody with LeBron on that roster, because they haven't this season, obviously. They played the Jazz and they won, and they should have won that game. And they would have won that game without LeBron. A lot of NBA left. I know that. But do the Lakers have a chance? Like, what is their ceiling this year? Is their ceiling Western Conference Finals? I don't think they're going to win a championship. I don't think they can win a championship. I just don't think they have all the right pieces. I don't think their bench is deep enough to win a championship. Do I think they have a chance to get there? Sure. But I think there's like 4 or 5 teams in the West that I think have a chance to get there when the season comes to an end. And I think the Lakers, when it comes to the end of the season, will be a top 6 team in the West. Because you've also got the Timberwolves, who I know aren't playing the greatest of basketball, but they'll be in the mix. Denver, Houston. So we will see. San Antonio, I know Wemby's out for a little bit, but I think San Antonio has a chance to be in the mix if everyone's healthy. Again, that's the thing with basketball. If everyone's healthy, there's so many injuries. I just saw Sabonis for the Kings is out like 3 weeks at a minimum, I think. If teams can stay healthy, they obviously have a better chance. Although Chet was out last year with a broken hip for half the season and was not a problem for the Thunder. Can the Thunder win 70 games also? That's another question with the NBA. There's only been 2 teams to win over 70 games, right? The Bulls and the Warriors. So are the Thunder a team that can win 70 games this season? I think so. Do they care though? I don't think so. I don't think they really care about those kinds of records. They want to win a championship. And they're still a young team, and they are still the favorite. And all the Thunder haters are going to say, look at all the calls they get. Look at how they play defense. Nobody else gets to play defense like they do. I love it. I love the people complain about how the Thunder play. I get it. It's jealousy. Your team's not that great. And so you're going to hate on the Thunder, who are the defending champs. That's fine. There's a lot of basketball left. I think that if everyone stays healthy for the Thunder, and especially once Jalen Williams comes back, I think the Thunder have an opportunity to win 70-plus games. And I just read a thing in the ESPN power indexes that the Thunder are favored by the ESPN power index to win every game that they have left to play this season. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's insane. I mean, I get it. When you're at the top, you're going to have a lot of haters. And there's a lot of people who don't like how the Thunder get away with calls, if they get away with calls. SGA is a free throw merchant. Anybody can do it. Nobody's stopping any of these other players from getting to the free throw line. He just has a special, different way of doing it and going about it. Like, nobody's stopping these other guys from playing the way he's playing. And I know people are going to say, oh, the refs are, though. Are they? Are they really? So that's wild. The Thunder being favored by ESPN to win their remaining games when there's still like 60 something games left. That's crazy. That's crazy. So we'll see what happens. I think a repeat championship in the NBA is hard nowadays. It's difficult. Teams are better. There's a lot better players than there used to be, especially now with these teams who are creating super teams or whatever they say they're doing. But the Thunder are looking good. And I think their average win margin is like 15 points a game. So in all of their wins, they've only lost one game that they should not have lost, but it was at Portland. And they are averaging their wins by 15 points. I get concerned. It's kind of like with the Lakers. Like, I think the Lakers were playing really good, and now with LeBron back, how are they going to play? How are they going to adapt? Are they going to be worse or better? And I say that because I also say that about the Thunder. Like, the Thunder's second best player is still out this season. Jalen Williams, after that wrist surgery. What's going to happen when he comes back? Are they going to be better? Or are they going to be worse? I don't know. I think it messes with the dynamics a little bit. We'll see. Maybe not, but we will see what happens. Something else I want to talk about too is just the idea of journalism and what journalism looks like. And maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy coming from, being born in 1980, technically on the end of Gen X. And I get it now with, Twitter and all, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So all the social media, everybody wants to break a story, or everybody wants to have this salacious, is that a word? Salacious point of view on some topic. And it's just so weird to me that we've just gone completely away in a lot of these places from facts. Like on any news you watch, the facts just aren't there like they used to be. And I'm not saying they're completely gone. People still do bring up the facts and give you facts, but a lot of it also is geared towards what they are trying to get out of the story, how they're trying to get somebody to answer a question with the way they present facts. I think that a lot of television, obviously social media, and this podcast too, obviously is opinion. There's a lot of opinion, but I try to bring sports facts. I'm going to be opinionated about my teams and just my thoughts, but I'm still going to bring the facts and to tell you why I think this, like why I think the Thunder could repeat because of what they're doing right now, having lost one game and not having their second best player. Those are facts. My opinion is they'll repeat. And that's basically mainly just because my heart says they'll repeat. My brain does too, but not as much as my heart. And so there's just all these stories and just weird opinion stuff. And a lot of it's for shock. Like, I don't even know this guy's name on, there's a show or a media company, whatever you want to call it, Outkick, Clay Travis. I don't care what you feel or think about him. I don't know him as a person. And I'm sure most of you don't know him as a person. So I don't care about that part with the politics. And I know he's definitely right-leaning, conservative, and that, whatever, that's fine. But there's some guy, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Dan Dakich, I think, Dan Dakich. He just had the weirdest rant yesterday about Scattaboo from the Giants, that he needs to grow up and not wear his hat backwards. And I don't even understand why he mentioned this or was talking about it the way he was talking about it. And that the Giants, the way he phrased it was the Giants need to let him go and then he can get lawyers and fight it and his contract and all this stuff because he's acting immature. And I just bring all this up because it's like, why? Who cares? He's a 21-year-old kid who dislocated his ankle and he's out for the season. What's he supposed to do? Sit in his house and play video games all day and not have fun as a 21-year-old who's in the NFL, who has a lot of money now, can do whatever he wants. If he wants to wear his hat backwards, he can wear his hat backwards. I just don't understand the whole thing with the whole shock value of things and why that's a thing, and with opinions and facts, and like that happened. And then, that's a right-leaning conservative media company. And then you've got ESPN, who's left-leaning. They have some show called First Take, and they are on this all high and mighty, like, oh, we're First Take, because Drake May, the quarterback of the New England Patriots, didn't know who Cam Newton was, or didn't know where he played, and that he was on a TV show or something. And so then all the people on First Take are all up in arms about this, like they're somebody special, when they're not. It's an opinionated television show, if you've ever watched it, and it's just got a bunch of talking heads on there giving their whatever opinion about whatever sport's going on. It's an entertainment show. It's not a sports show like Sports Center. I mean, it's a sports show, but it's not highlights. It's not stuff like that. Like, yes, they do deliver facts, but again, if you watch it, the majority of it's just their opinion on something. And that's kind of where we are with journalism and media, because that's what gets the views. That's what gets the clicks. And then again, nobody's watching these shows like they think people are. And nobody's watching this versus a clip that somebody's going to clip from that show. And it's probably going to be taken out of context, which that's also a bummer. That so much stuff gets taken out of context, especially on social media, especially when you type stuff and, like whether it's on Twitter or whatever, you don't know the person's tone. You don't know exactly how it was supposed to come across or what it meant. And so that's a whole other piece of it too. Like, you can have this show First Take or this show on Outkick, and people are going to take clips of it and clip it however they want. And it's going to come across good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. But with the way you can clip stuff now, you could have somebody say something that you want them to say about a topic, even though what they said was the complete opposite, because people can edit it, people can take it out of context. It's almost like the whole thing with the BBC and Donald Trump, when they edited whatever he said about January 6th, and they threw in something that was like from 50 minutes later after he had said something, to make it sound like he said something that he didn't say at all. And that's the world we live in, and it's concerning in a lot of ways. But it's also like, how do we decipher what's even real in that regard? Yeah, he said those things, but not in that context and not in that like order of things. Like, it's wild to take something that somebody said and then they take a piece from 50 minutes later and put it together like he said this. Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. And it's really, really hard nowadays for journalists. I think journalists have a really, really hard job in 2025, and people need to be careful what they consume. You and I need to be careful in what we are basing our opinions off of, because you might watch something that was put out by Fox News or CNN or the BBC or ESPN, and it's not all the facts, and it's not what happened, and it's not true. Like a whole other thing that happened this week, and this, if you follow anything on social media, Pablo Torres and Clay Travis, who Clay Travis is the guy for Outkick. Pablo Torres, I don't even know what he does, but he's a investigative journalist, I guess you could say. And he wrote some story about Riley Gaines, and she, is the swimmer that was at Kentucky who swam with the dude who wanted to be a girl swimmer. And, she came out against all of that, all of the dudes swimming in women's sports, or dudes in women's sports. And I'm not talking about that. Whatever you feel about that, that's your opinion. But so Pablo Torres then is doing all this now investigative journalism about her old coach and allegations and that kind of thing. And then Clay Travis is defending Riley Gaines because Riley Gaines works for Clay Travis. And they're bringing up all these old tweets that I've seen. Like, Pablo Torres said something like 2016, but it was in regards to something Brett Favre said, but you wouldn't know that because that part's not in the tweet. But if you do the timestamp and you actually investigate and look for the facts, you'll see that that is what happened. And so I know I'm on a rant right now, but just the way journalism is and the things that are happening with investigative journalism and CNN, Fox, MSNBC, ESPN, CBS, ABC, NBC, all the above. You have to take everything with a grain of salt and do your own investigation into these stories that these companies are putting out there. I'm super skeptical nowadays of just about any story I see or anything I see on Twitter. And that might just be because I wanted to go into journalism. I have a journalism degree, but someone will tweet something or something, and I'm like, is that true? Did that really happen? And I'll go look it up myself because I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not. And so I just challenge everybody to do that. The other thing, though, that just makes it way easier, which for me is I don't watch the news anymore. I'm on Twitter a little bit. This is where I'll get news. And then if it's something I don't believe or something I'll question, I'll look it up. And it may have been true or maybe not, but you just have to do things on your own and look into things on your own. And I'm telling you, the best thing you can do is stop watching the news. The only news that I feel like really is important, at least in my own opinion, again, my own opinion, is local news. Because even the shows on CNN and Fox, like, sure, they're going to deliver the news with facts, but then they have these shows with 5 different people just yelling at each other about their own opinion on stuff. And it's like, what's the point of all this? Ratings? Like, money? Because watching those shows is not helping anybody. And like, you can't even watch late night television anymore without getting political opinions. Obviously, we've seen that, and that's been the case for a long time. But there's different ways of going about it and different ways of doing it. And it happens in sports, on these sports shows with things that people say that may or may not be true. And it's all opinion. The news, these news channels and these shows have all become opinionated with facts sprinkled in. And it sucks. It does. And I don't know why I say all this. I think it was just on my mind about journalism, and I just wish people would deliver the news with facts and then let us, the consumer, decide and come up with our own opinion. I don't care about your opinion. Just like if you're listening to this, I'm sure you don't care about my opinion, and that's fine. Maybe you agree with some of the things I'm saying, and maybe you don't, and that's okay. But do your own research, figure out the facts yourself if you don't believe the facts or trust the facts, and then come to a conclusion. We see that with every presidential election, every debate. Presidential debates have become fact-checking central because I can't believe any of the candidates when they're debating. And then you've got these moderators who are having to fact check in the moment. And it's just it's a nightmare. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't have a solution. I don't have an answer. I just know that there are a lot of shows out there that are just opinion based. And I think that's why I like sports. That's why I wanted to go into sports journalism, because I wanted to deliver stories about games and stories about players, which are fact-based. I did not go into journalism because I wanted to go on a show and just give my opinion about why I think Drake May is the best quarterback for the Patriots moving forward, or my opinion of why SGA should win the MVP over Jokic based on stats because SGA hasn't played as many minutes, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not why I wanted to go into journalism. I wanted to go into journalism because as a kid, I loved SportsCenter, and I still love SportsCenter. They show a game, they give the highlights, and they talk about the game. That's the best part about sports, is the non-opinionated stuff. This was a really long, nonsensical rant. I don't even know who's going to listen to it, but I'm going to put it out there, and it's going to be out on the interwebs, but I don't know. That's why I like to come on here and give facts, like the facts about the MLB media rights. Like, I think that's interesting for people because I didn't know about this. And maybe you can get these facts from somebody, and I would hope it's me. Sure, I'll give my opinion every once in a while, but when I give that opinion, I do hope it's based off of some facts, and it's not going to be some salacious opinion and it's not going to be about somebody. Like, that's the other thing too, is why are these opinionated shows and things got to be negative about people? It's just the society we live in, the world we live in. It's not great. It's not great for people's mental health, for people's well-being, talking negative about people, especially people you don't know. Like, and I know we're all guilty of it and that kind of thing. If you've got facts about somebody and that's why you don't like them, okay, that's fine. But if you've got facts about somebody and you do like them, that's great too. But don't give your opinions of why you don't like somebody. I just think that's not healthy. It's not good. It's not great. This was a weird rant, I know. But I guess to sum it all up, I just would like for journalism to get back to the basics, back to the facts. And I get it too. I can choose to watch those shows. Like, you have a choice to tune in or tune out of something. And that's what I've chosen to do over the last month or so. I don't watch any news shows at all anymore. I used to watch the news, and I would watch CNN and Fox just to get both sides. And I just don't anymore because it sucks. 90% of it's doom and gloom. They make money off of that. So just mentally, I don't want to be putting that in my brain anymore. And so that's why, like, I do this podcast to talk about sports, and I would like to talk more about sports media rights and things like that. Like with this MLB 3-year deal, that's super cool. That's great for Netflix, NBC, ESPN, and Major League Baseball. And so that's a cool thing to know about and to talk about. YouTube TV and Disney, that was a big deal when YouTube TV has 10 million subscribers and they couldn't come to a deal with Disney to have Disney channels on YouTube TV. That's a big deal for a lot of people. And that's stuff I like to talk about. I don't care what Cam Scadaboo's doing in his own free time. And I don't know why anybody else would either. Unless they're harming people, unless he was like hurting somebody or himself, then sure, that needs to be in the news, but just wild. Who cares? Like, if you're not hurting somebody or yourself, why do you have to talk about somebody the way that guy talked about Cam Scadaboo? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Maybe I never will, and that's a good thing. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I just want to do this podcast, this show, because I want people to have fun and talk about the things they like and the positive things happening in the sports world that doesn't get talked about enough. So that's that. That was my rant for Friday. Maybe you'll listen, maybe you won't, but I would love your opinion on this. Am I right? Am I wrong? Does it matter? Does anyone care? I don't know. That's what I got, though. See ya.